The Supreme Court sides with Texas Republicans on redistricting as national attention turns now to Indiana. The U.S. Navy strikes another narco-terrorist boat in the Southern Caribbean as the New York Times sues the Pentagon. And the January 6, 2021 DNC and RNC Pipe Bomber has been arrested. I'm Tony Kinnett, host of the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Friday, December 5th, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. The Supreme Court of the United States sided 6-3 along party lines with Texas Republicans' redistricting map for 2026. The conservative and originalist majority found that it was very clear Texas was changing its map via partisan maneuvering, which is legal, and that the prior map was likely based along racial lines. The dissent, led by Justice Kagan, followed of course by Sotomayor and Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, suggested in 17 pages compared to the in favor of redistricting's 3 pages that the Texas redistricting was very, very racist indeed. Or as they called it, quote, massive direct evidence that the DOJ letter from the Trump administration was very racist indeed. This is a major blow to many House Democrats in Texas, like Representative Jasmine Crockett, whose residence now resides in a completely different congressional district in Texas. She's planning on leaving the House and running for the Senate likely anyway, with an announcement expected here in the next couple of weeks. Representative Al Green of Texas famously called the redistricting practice back when the Texas Democrat legislators had fled to Illinois very racist and horrible.
What's happening in Texas is invidious discrimination. It is racial. My dear friends, it is racist. Yes. It is. And we have to say it. Yes. We have to say it.
Now national attention turns to Indiana, whose redistricting efforts are harried just a little bit by a very divided Republican Indiana Senate, with some Republican senators being for it, some being against. As a Hoosier, we sat down in studio with the enterprise director for Turning Point Action to talk a little bit about this redistricting process here in the state of Indiana and why it's so crucial to the House of Representatives. We have the one, the only, Brett Galajewski. That's right, a Polish man himself, from Turning Point Action, their enterprise director, because all eyes are on the Hoosier State, not for Coach Sig's phenomenal coaching, but because we are in the middle of a redistricting fist fight that has got the whole nation up in arms. Brett, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Tony. It's great to be here in what's basically now the center of the political universe.
Which is weird because I remember when I worked in Governor Walker's office, because you're from Wisconsin, that when we were duking it out with the unions and right to work policy, that was when Wisconsin was the center of everything, and I was being spit on by a very rude man from Honduras. But that's another tale for another time. Give me a different perspective here. I'm obviously the Hoosier who's right in the middle of this major congressional redistricting, gerrymandering argument from Illinois to California, now here in Indiana. What is the national take on why this matters at all from someone who didn't grow up here in the Hoosier State?
Yeah, simply put, all eyes are on Indiana right now because Indiana is truly the last line of defense right now in putting us in the best possible position to retain the House of Representatives.
Why do you say the last line of defense? Because someone could say, well, what about Texas and Florida? Why is Indiana the last line here?
Because of the flare signal that this could send to the rest of the movement.
Which is?
That we as conservatives are not going to lay down and die. And when the left goes hard in the paint and states that they have liberal controlled everything in, the right is going to do the same thing. And a state like Indiana really epitomizes what a conservative state looks like. It's about as red as any other, Wyoming, Alabama, any other top 5 conservative state that comes to mind. There's no reason we shouldn't have a 9-0 congressional map. I don't want to kind of skip ahead here, but that's what's on the table here. And Indiana has that ability to really rewrite history.
Now, I'm not going to be the guy that gets out there and says that according to a couple of private group chats, I'm the guy that says, 9-0 or it's got to go or whatever. That was the rhyme that I came up with. Actually, I think it was 9-0 or your mom's, but that's again, moving aside from my quips and things that are going to get us emails, I really don't understand why we have to have Marion County. That's the county that is at the center of the state. That's Indianapolis downtown. That's that county. Producer Nick, while I'm saying this magically, if you could just throw up that county highlighted on the screen there. This is an area that has traditionally had its own little special congressional district and therefore got Andre Carson, who is human trash. I want to make that clear. This is one of the only 5 people in the country who I will openly call human debris. Andre Carson is one of those. I've talked to him personally. He is a horrible human being. And by the way, just for the record, also uses more anti-Asian slurs than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. Again, just a little flavoring here. Why does Indianapolis or Marion County get a special district and no one considers any other district in the state like they consider Marion?
Yeah, I mean, I was just telling somebody this who was in opposition to the 9-0 maps.
Because there are a few people, well, let's not be hasty kind of people.
Correct. And kind of the main, adversarial phrase that I've been hearing is, 2 wrongs don't make a right. California went hard in the paint and removed 5 Republican seats. Hey, we shouldn't do that in Indiana.
2 wrong. What is it? Sesame Street? Elmo says 2 wrongs don't make a right. Get out of here.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. It's a head scratcher to me. And we can obviously talk about what I think that this is masking a much larger issue.
You can find a link to the rest of our interview with Brett down in the description below. Meanwhile, the United States Navy via Southcom announced another narco-terrorist boat has been sunk via kinetic strike in the southern Caribbean, which was, according to U.S. intelligence services, piloted by 4 now deceased narco-terrorists. And amid a series of attempted press leaks and restrictions on access to classified material, the New York Times has now sued the Pentagon and the Department of War at large for its press policies, which limited the access of press to previously off-limits areas of the Pentagon and requested that certain classified information leaked to the press was sent over to the Pentagon so that service members put in harm's way could be kept safe. Our Daily Signal president, Rob Bluey, got a chance to sit down with Pentagon officials and discuss some of these allegations, as well as this press policy yesterday.
There have been a number of news organizations that have decided to, as what Kingsley Wilson says, self-deport from this room. What are your thoughts on how that has played out? And are you hopeful that maybe they will come to realize that it's better to be inside the building here, have the opportunity to ask the questions, and agree to the terms of the policy that the Secretary set out?
Sure. I was involved in helping to draft that policy and change it. And I think that one of the problems that we had was that people locked onto certain ideas and certain interpretations without really understanding what the policy actually meant. And we really did a lot of hard work to make sure that the policy was completely fair, that it was completely legal, that it respected the First Amendment, but balanced those concerns with also the security concerns of the department.
And last but certainly not least, the Department of Justice, via Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and FBI Director Kash Patel, announced the arrest of the infamous January 6th pipe bomber, who placed bombs outside the Republican National Committee building and the Democrat National Committee building in Washington, D.C.
Early this morning, Brian Cole Jr. was arrested and charged with placing the pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC on January 5th, 2021. He has been charged with violating 18 U.S.C. 844, which is use of an explosive device. This investigation is ongoing. As we speak, search warrants are being executed, and there could be more charges to come. I'm going to let our U.S. Attorney discuss that shortly.
The Attorney General also made it clear that there was not any new information that led to the capture of the alleged pipe bomber, but that the FBI and the Department of Justice actually sat down and fully investigated the bomber.
4 long years. Let me be clear. There was no new tip. There was no new witness. Just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work, working as a team along with ATF, Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, and, of course, the FBI.
According to an investigation by Luke Rosiak over at the Daily Wire, the pipe bomber's family sued the Trump administration and the Department of Homeland Security over policies related to illegal immigration and immigration customs enforcement. Quote, weeks before 30-year-old Cole Jr. allegedly planted pipe bombs at the headquarters of the Democrat and Republican parties on January 5th, 2021, a court ruled against the company in its lawsuit attacking the Trump administration on immigration issues, this being the company run by Brian Cole's father. The Daily Wire learned that an FBI affidavit in the case notes suggested the suspect worked for a bail bond company and lived with his mother. After the Biden administration took power, that same family then lobbied the Department of Justice to take actions against racist activity in Tennessee. The family used the lawyer in the case of Trayvon Martin to sic the Biden administration's Department of Justice on a local Tennessee prosecutor who had raised questions about the Cole family's bail bond company. You can find the link to that full article in the description, where you can also find a link to subscribe to the Tony Kinnett Cast. And that's where you should join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern for a roundup of the day's news and nonsense. I'm Tony Kinnett, and this has been the Daily Signal's top news in 10. Take care.